Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ultimate Mixtape Challenge. Today, we're going to go down classic rock avenue. We did hard rock and metal the first time around. We've got a whole new cast here today. So the participants who have put together their ultimate 60-minute classic rock mixtape for someone who's never listened to classic rock before, we've got Sydney Taylor, we've got Jack Toledano, we've got Craig Sybert, and our special guest judge today is none other than Martin Popoff. So greetings, everyone. So this is how it goes. We're each going to Martin. We got to sell to Martin because Martin, let's pretend that Martin has never, ever listened to classic rock in his life. I know that's highly unlikely, but that's kind of what we're doing here. So we're kind of going in our time machine back to the 80s and Sydney, I know you didn't have the opportunity to experience this because you're a little bit younger than the rest of us, but back in the 80s, that's what so many of us did. It's like if we came upon someone who never heard a band before that we liked or a style of music, we'd be like, I'll make it mixtape, right? Or if you're a guy, you're dating a girl, you make them a mixtape on the stuff you like. I mean, that's what we did.
Nowadays, it's a playlist. So nowadays it's a playlist.
Exactly. It's a little bit different nowadays, but I made a lot of mixtapes for a lot of girls and a lot of buddies back in the day. And so I remember what it was like. So, but the key thing was trying to make sure you had enough room on a side of tape. So for everybody else on this Zoom chat, how many times did you have a song cut off because you didn't have enough room on the tape, right?
A lot.
I mean, that was the worst, right? You'd listen, all of a sudden you're getting into the guitar solos playing, then that's it, done. So we're trying not to do that for this. So I asked everybody to kind of really be mindful of the time. So we got 30 minutes per side. I'm going to have Sydney kick us off and present her mixtape to Martin.
All right, cool. So before we got on, I was telling everybody, because it's really hard to, in general, there was about 10,000 songs that came to my head when I was thinking of kind of true classic rock songs that I really love. But I kind of just went with the first, couple songs that really I thought of first, and I kind of narrowed it down, like Pete said, to 30 minutes aside. So for my first side, I'm going to kick off the mixtape with a song that I've talked about on Sea of Tranquility before, Burnin' For You by Blue Oyster Cult. I'm going to go with that one. I like it personally, me, a little bit better than Don't Fear the Reaper, and I think Blue Oyster Cult's kind of a staple. I know that there can be kind of maybe a little bit more hard rock, but I think that they fall under the classic rock category. So that's going to be my first one. My second song is a song that probably all of us could never hear again, but if you've never heard classic rock, it's a must listen. That's Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. It has to be in there, man. I'm like, if you've never heard classic rock before, I mean, come on, that's a staple. So you have to put that in there. Again, a song that probably everybody watching this could go without ever hearing, but Smoke on the Water. Number 3, we're going to go with Layla by Derek and the Dominoes. Kind of really guitar oriented song. Of course, all of us know Layla. But kind of had to throw that in there because that's when I think of like really iconic classic rock songs. Layla's in there. Next is Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. Again, these are all like, I'm just kind of going through them. I'm like, these are just kind of classics. Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. The 5th track is More Than a Feeling by Boston, a classic. And then the last song on side A is Dream On by Aerosmith, because you just gotta, I don't know, these are songs that like probably people are like, oh god, they're so overplayed, but you have to know them if you've never heard classic rock.
But remember, Martin's never heard any of these songs.
Yeah, you've never heard any of this, Martin, so you're gonna have a field day with all of the songs that I just told you. The second side, I had to put my favorite person. I had to put No More Mr. Nice Guy by Alice Cooper on there. He could be kind of hard rock. I consider some of that early stuff more classic rock, even though kind of could go between. But No More Mr. Nice Guy. Number 2 is All Along the Watchtower, Jimi Hendrix. Again, had to have it on there. Number 3, Go Your Own Way by Fleetwood Mac. I feel like if I didn't put Fleetwood Mac on this list, it would kind of be an injustice. So Go Your Own Way. Number 5, Head Games by Foreigner, which is, I had to put Foreigner on here, and Head Games is my favorite. I know that there may be some other, Double Vision and, Cold as Ice and stuff, but I love Head Games, and I think really kind of captures what Foreigner was about at that time. And then, of course, closing my second side of my tape had to be the ultimate classic rock song, Stairway to Heaven had to be on there. Took up a big chunk of my tape, like 8 minutes, but it was worth it because I don't know, it's kind of, to me, the definitive song of that genre, so subgenre I should say. So that's my mixtape.
Nice. Wow. Yeah, a lot of variety there. And you've got the Fleetwood Mac part of it and the Foreigner part of it. So you're supporting that big radio rock thing and the softer rock in there as well. You go way back with Jimi Hendrix in there, right? I'm not crazy about hearing Layla in there because I'm definitely not an Eric Clapton fan, so that's interesting. And it's not really a band, which always bothered me about Layla, but pretty cool seeing Blue Oyster Cult in there. So you get something a little newer in there as well. So yeah, good range. I'll give this a 7.5 out of 10. How's that?
Wow, pat myself on the back for that one.
I'm just staying in the middle because it's the first one. I don't know where to go. So.
No, I gotcha. You can always change your rating.
I was going to say, you could probably change the rating, right? I mean, it goes.
No, it's cast in stone now. Too.
After he hears ours, he might be like, "Oh no, that definitely deserves higher."
And you put "Stairway to Heaven" in there, which really has to go on there. But begrudgingly, it's not one of my favorite Zeppelin songs, but it has to be there, right?
It's one of those songs where, again, like I was going through this, and as much as I naturally, having heard these songs so many times, wanted to pick some obscure stuff, I kind of like the challenges. I was kind of like, this is for somebody who, like a lot of people in my generation who've never heard a lot of this stuff. And, it's not a song, Stairway to Heaven I love, and I could hear it a million times, but there's also a million other Zeppelin songs that I wish I could have maybe put in there, but maybe wouldn't have appealed to, somebody like that. So
cool. Very nice. All right.
Cool. All right. Mr. Music Musing Podcast, Craig Sybert.
Okay. Wow. So I took kind of a different take on this. I really started with bands first because I want rock to be in there. I want it to be heavy. And kind of your mention about Layla. Yeah, I although I think Layla's a decent song, I just don't think it hit the hard rock side of things or the classic rock side of things. So I went a different route. I actually went bands and then looked for songs that were popular, but were a little bit less on the numbers so I could fit more of them on there. So I started side A and I kind of went in chronological order. So I'm going to say something that probably, the four of us might get. I'm not sure Sydney will, but the old K-Tel era of records where you would get like a grouping of the 70s hard rock. So they kind of put them in order. So I left them in chronological order. I started with the Kinks. You really got me. It's a really good foundation of rock where rock kind of started moving in from that 60s sound right into the 70s, really hard rock. Rolling Stones, I went with Satisfaction. Again, Time. I was kind of cautious of Time, and it's still just about as popular as a lot of their other songs, and a little heavier, a little harder rock towards that era. This next one was one that I went back and forth on of whether I really wanted to put it on there or not, but I went with Jefferson Airplane White Rabbit. I know that they've got a more popular song out there, but the end of that White Rabbit song really kind of comes up and kind of makes it feel a little more rock. And I saved a little bit of time on it, obviously, over some of their other more stuff.
I don't think Craig has gone over 3 minutes on any track so far.
At 3:42. Satisfaction's actually 3:42. I didn't realize it was that long. Wow. Yes, I know. Then Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix. Again, it's definitely symbolizes Jimi Hendrix's sound and the rock sound at the time, and is a really shorter song, so I could fit more on there. This last one was one I literally swapped out 2 minutes before we signed in. I had a Motley Crue song in this spot, and I felt Motley Crue was a little too contemporary for this type of feel where I'm trying to get somebody to listen to classic rock. So I went with Mississippi Queen by Mountain at this point. And another 2 minute 30 song, 2 minute 30 second song. And then Gotta Have Sabbath. Went with the shortest one I could, which was Paranoid, 2:48 on Paranoid. So again, you got to have Sabbath in something that's classic rock. War Pigs is way too long, but I think it's a better song for kind of defining what rock is, or even Iron Man. Also wanted to include the other genres of rock at the time. So went with Leonard Skinner, Sweet Home Alabama next. Probably could have picked a heavier song, but Sweet Home Alabama is already 4 minutes and 43 seconds. And that was the shorter of the picks from Leonard Skinner. But I wanted to get Southern rock in there too, because I wanted to kind of give a full range of what type of rock was around at the time. And then I did go with Led Zeppelin, but I went rock and roll for the obvious reason of keeping time down. That was another big struggle. I really wanted Stairway to Heaven in there, but when I went back and went through my times and tried checking my times, I just couldn't get Stairway to Heaven in
8
there.
minutes, man.
It's almost double that time at that point to put that on there. And the last one for side A is Dream On by Aerosmith, which is, again, I actually prefer their earlier stuff, Toys in the Attic stuff, a little bit more, but I think Dream On is a better symbol of what they are as far as the rock time frame. Is that side A? Yeah, no, 9, 18. Yes, I had to go one short on side A. Okay. Side B, still keeping with the time frame. We're up to 73, still kind of sticking with classic rock. I went with the Beatles' Revolution.
Nice.
I really question putting the Beatles on there too because of their lack of heaviness and kind of classic rock, quote unquote. But I think Revolution fit. I think Revolution was a good inclusion to bring the Beatles into it and still keep it with somebody who'd never heard rock. Maybe that would give them an interest to going back and listening to what other stuff of the Beatles. I went with the My Generation by The Who instead of Babbo O'Reilly. Again, time frame. I really think that Babbo O'Reilly probably fit better in this spot than My Generation. But for time frame, I still give them a touch of who the Who is. Yeah, I knew that was going to come out wrong. Okay, next song. So I got lucky on this one, and you can kind of penalize me if you want here, Martin, but I went with Kiss, Detroit Rock City, but not the original version because the intro is 1:40. So I went with the double platinum version, which gives me the time frame I need. But if I get dinged for that, I guess I'll take that one.
That's a good choice, Craig.
Next, I went with I kind of brought it around to the punk era. I heard you guys talking about punk before we started, but I went with the Ramones. I Want to Be Sedated, which kind of gives the classic rock, but still gives that punk side of it. And the Sex Pistols, Anarchy in the UK. Both of them are kind of short songs, gives that little punk British feel to it, a little bit behind the scenes, and kind of rounds out the end of the 70s with the next couple songs as well. I actually put Van Halen Eruption on there, and I know that's probably cheating as well because everybody hears Eruption and then they hear You Really Got Me right after it, but You Really Got Me is a cover, and I just wanted to kind of give Van Halen's influence, but not really too much, so I don't know. Then definitely had to include Blondie on there. Blondie is one of those kind of halfway punk, halfway rock, halfway pop people, so it was a pretty good influence at the time. So I went with One Way or Another by her. 3 more. Judas Priest, more British rock, but Breaking the Law was what I went with on them. It is a little bit longer than their shortest song, but still something I think more emulated both Judas Priest and classic rock at the time. Speed round. Obviously, Pete, I wanted to do Let There Be Rock by AC/DC, but that song is almost 8 minutes long. That is horribly long. I could not believe that song was that long. So I went with You Shook Me All Night Long, which is their classic rock song, and it's kind of already starting to bleed over to the 80s, early 80s era, but still classic rock. And then I finished up with Queen, We Will Rock You, which is a solid ender to an album and still 2.5 or 2 minutes and gives you a good, rock feel at the end of it. So hit the buzzer. I'm done.
Wow. All right. Well, you get marks for definitely keeping the song short so you can pack so much in, but you lose marks because you're going to traumatize this classic rock fan because you got so much strange stuff in here. You've got punk in here. You've got Blondie, who I don't almost feel is rock at all. You got a lot of old stuff in here. Your Hendrix pick, I think, is better than Sydney's because it's Purple Haze. So it's a historic early heavy metal song rather than a cover of a quote ballad or whatever. But yeah, Mississippi Queen is good to see in here because that was a huge song at the time, right? Sweet Home Alabama is a great, it's considered one of the quintessential classic rock songs, almost like a joke, right? It's almost like the No Stairway to Heaven above the doorway in the guitar store. It's,
or Freebird.
It's Freebird as well, of course. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not crazy seeing too much 60s stuff in here because it's almost like too early to be classic rock. And I always hated the Stone Satisfaction as well. So yeah, some real good picks here. You got Kiss in here, of course, as well. Some of these, you got The Who and the Beatles, which again, it's older, but it's a gateway to a big band out of this. So yeah, Breaking the Law might fall a little more into the metal one. So I'm going to give Craig 6.5 out of 10. How's that?
Take it.
All right.
All right.
Mr. Toledano, you're up next.
All right. So it's funny. So when we do all these, I usually read it off of my phone because it's a nice little cheat sheet. But I actually accidentally scrolled, and I took this picture the other day. See if anybody can see that. Can you? Or is it just too bright?
Very bright. I see a bunch of dots.
All right. Yeah. All right. Never mind.
I see a band
No,
standing out in
it's
the
a really
tundra.
nice, tranquil view of the ocean, but maybe I'll send it to you all after. But okay, so to my 60-minute mixtape. First of all, it's good knowing that we had a judge this time. Our group kind of got sandbagged last time by Mr. Pardo and Miss Miss Versace. So. But anyway, so knowing this, that we'd have a judge this time, you know what? I threw all convention out the window, and I just said, you know what? It's got to be all my favorites, win or lose. I mean, these are like really good, feel-good songs that really pick me up. Basically songs that I could just play over and over again. And so what I did was similar to the way somebody picks a Williamsport travel team. You go with your best in the league first, and then you round it out with, in this case, you round it out with songs that can fit time-wise and few groups that you want to get into the mix. So that's basically how I did this. So it's funny, so far everybody's had Led Zeppelin. I kicked mine off with a Led Zeppelin song, but I went with a much shorter one. This one was featured in the Jack Black movie. What is it? What's that movie with the kids he had?
Rock
School? School of Rock.
School of Rock, yes. So I went with the Immigrant Song. Love that song. My second song, I kind of like Sydney. I went with a song by Blue Oyster Cult. When I heard this the first time, I was just fascinated with this song. Love those opening riffs, that opening melodic riff and the cowbell in the middle. Don't Fear the Reaper. Okay, so third, I did have a little more classic, not classic rock, a little more Southern rock in the mix in mine. So this one is from Molly Hatchet. So I could have went with, conventional wisdom and picked, Flirting with Disaster, or that which was the most well-known song at the time. But instead, I picked the kickoff track on their first album, Bounty Hunter. Love that song. Next, I agree. You can't have a, classic rock playlist without something from Boston. So I went with the song Smokin' on their first album. I absolutely love that organ in the middle, that really nice riff. What does he use? Like a Rockman amplifier or something like that?
It's a little Rockman effects unit. Yeah, it's kind of almost like a weird.
I don't know if that was invented yet, though. Was it invented at the time?
I thought he invented it.
Yeah, he was using it at the time. Yeah. Although it was, he didn't like,
commercialize it yet. Yeah.
So the next one, Pete's gonna like this one. I picked a song by Uriah Heep. Again, I had to go with something short. First song I ever heard by them. I loved it. Easy Living. Yeah.
Was it like 245? I don't even think that's over 3, is it?
Easy Living, I have it as 237.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
We're really close.
Fit right in.
2 seconds, right?
Yeah. Okay, the next one, this is going to come as a surprise to pretty much everybody who's watching this, because this is actually one of my all-time favorite classic rock songs.
Journey, right?
Yeah, sure. No, it's another band that we could have considered arena rock until they cleaned up not the Emmys, the Grammys with songs like Africa and Rosanna and Toto. I'm talking about Hold the Line. I just love that mix between, you know, the keyboards, and then when it gets to the chorus, those you know, those power chords, you know, mixed with the keyboards, and great song. Actually, one of my all-time favorites. Next one, and before we signed on, we actually, Pete, Martin, and myself were having a mini discussion about power pop, because a friend of mine recently wrote a book about it. So I'm wondering if this band is actually considered pop. Yeah. So I'm wondering if this band is actually considered power pop or the beginning of new wave. And it was 78, 79, but the song is just to die for me. Bye Bye Love by the Cars. Love it. You know, amazing. And Greg Hawkes, he adds that, you know, that element of synthesizer. Just a great song. And then I close out side A with a favorite of mine by the Eagles. The title track from their third album, On the Border. I absolutely love that song. It has a really nice mix of rhythm and blues, all four voices, you know, a little humor in there, but overall a great song. Okay, so on to side 2. Gets even better. So back in like 2005, 2006, Pete sent me on assignment to this concert down at Jones Beach Amphitheater to see what was called the Strange Days Festival. And in it were what they called the New Doors at the time. And they opened with this song, which I love, Peace Frog, off of Morrison Hotel. Really nice, short, 2 minutes, 50 seconds. But let me tell you, Ray Manzarek and Robbie Krieger, they just cooked in that whole song. Okay, so next, this is another ultimate favorite of mine, but this is a suite of 2 songs. How do you classify ZZ Top? Are they Southern rock, or are they blues, or what would we consider them?
Both.
But
I'd go with Southern rock. We've always had this debate. We had a long debate about that, but I always consider them Southern rock.
Yeah.
So
Texas is from the South, right? I mean,
yeah, Texas, yeah. But another brother of mine, Brother Lee, and I went and saw them at Jones Beach Theater, and I was thrilled to death when they played this duo of Waiting for the Bus and Jesus Just Left Chicago. Yeah. Amazing. I had to have both. Having only one would not have cut it. So then we make another left turn to something a little different, Supertramp, from the album Crime of the Century, for a song called Bloody Well Right. Again, love the keyboards in that, you know, and it's almost like he's playing power chords within those keyboards, you know, when he gets to the chorus. Good sound. Okay, so next, a little less obscure, very well known, another Southern rock song by probably my favorite Southern rock band, Leonard Skinner. It had to be short. I didn't want it to be too commercial, but yet people would know it. Give Me 3 Steps, off their first album. Next, this song I've known since I was basically knee-high to a grasshopper, 4 or 5 years old. So Creedence Clearwater Revival for a song called Looking Out My Back Door. So can I ask everybody, could somebody tell me what do tambourines and elephants have in common? No, even then I wondered, but great song.
Can't help you there.
No. Okay, so this, I'm going to quiz you, Pete. What do you think my next song is going to be? I'm down to 2.
Well, I'm guessing there's going to be a Jethro Tull song coming up at some point.
And no, actually not. But this song was mentioned in our dream set lists in the month of March.
Deep Purple?
No. No, we didn't do Deep Purple.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I do too many shows here. I can't keep track of what I did.
Okay, this one's off of Quadrophenia.
Ah, there you go.
515 by The Who. Absolutely love that song. And unfortunately, the last time we mentioned it, I didn't give John Entwistle his due. He does the horns in that song, and it really adds a nice little element to that. Yeah, awesome.
Great tune.
And of course, I love the blending of Roger and Pete's vocals. To die for. Okay, so last song, I wanted to get some Rush in there. So I went to their, and again, had to be something short that could fit into the 60-minute tape. So I went to Moving Pictures for Limelight. And I hope all of us get our little share of the limelight doing this, which we love doing so much. So that's my 60 minutes.
And Lynn, if you're watching, I think Jack was saying earlier on that he wants a recount from last week's episode.
Yeah.
Nah, you know what? It's all good. Win or lose, I just enjoy doing these. Yeah. And the best part is I get to take all of these lists and I make playlists out of them in Spotify.
There you go.
I can listen in the car.
There you go.
Right. Well, with Jack's list, we got a big problem right at the beginning because the person playing this tape is going to think that their playback head is dirty, and they're going to take the tape out and take it out because the first three songs have such terrible production. You've got Immigrant Song, Don't Fear the Reaper, and Bounty Hunter, which all sound terrible, but they're good songs, of course. So we've got that problem. Other than that, I mean, this is a good solid list. I think the Doors might scare some people away as well. The Doors are kind of a creaky, hard band to get into. Creepy and creaky, hard band to get into. It's kind of a weird choice, but it's good to see Supertramp on here because they're another one of these quintessential classic rock bands. CCR I could do without. It's a little old. It's a little country rocking on here. The Cars is a bit of an odd choice. Toto's good for some variety. You got some heaviness on here. Boston's on here again. A lot of Southern rock, right? Pretty interesting. So I'm gonna give you a 7 out of 10 as well. So we've got a tie going so far here with you and Craig.
This is gonna be down to the wire, huh?
Oh yeah.
All right, here we go. So I'm going to start off with Martin's favorite band on the planet, Grand Funk Railroad. We're an American band.
You're cheating already.
He's
got like
he has that information.
Grand Funk Railroad.
There's a ceiling of about 5 on this now.
Wow.
So.
Although I gave Martin Rush, so.
I mean, it's a great anthem, and I think it's a song you always hear on classic rock radio. So it's like someone getting into it for the first time needs to have that song in their life, unless your name is Martin Popoff. My second track is going to be Steely Dan, "Reelin' in the Years." I knew I wanted to get Steely Dan on here somewhere, and I was going to go a couple other directions, but that's like just a big fun song. It's got great guitar work, just loads of fun. Doobie Brothers, "Long Train Running." Definitely wanted to have the Doobies on here. I was going to take my next one out because we've already heard it, I think, once or twice before here from others, but I decided to leave it in. Fleetwood Mac, "Go Your Own Way." It's my favorite Fleetwood Mac song. It's nice and short.
How did you both pick the same Fleetwood Mac song? That's bizarre.
I know, there's so many to choose from, right? Yeah, I was gonna switch it out, but then I was looking at the time and I'm like, I don't have the times of the other ones, so I left it in. Next, I'm also got to have some Skinner here, but I'm gonna go with one that's probably not a radio hit. "I Ain't the One" from the first album.
Nice, good song.
Next up, speaking of power pop, got to have the Raspberries on here. "Go All the Way." Killer song, 3 minutes 19 seconds. It's quick, it hits the mark. Awesome. Got to have some ladies on here too. "Crazy on You" by Heart.
Nice.
And I originally had Jimi Hendrix finishing out my side A, but we had a lot of Hendrix already mentioned, so I decided to put some Janis Joplin on here for "Move Over." So that's my side A. Side B, Cheap Trick, "Surrender."
Oh, damn.
I considered "Surrender," but it ultimately didn't make it.
Yeah, I had a lot that didn't make it, which, a lot of great bands you guys have already mentioned that I was like, oh man, I couldn't squeeze them on here. And if you notice, all of my side A is American bands, and I've got a couple kicking off side B, and then we go to the British stuff. So my second track is "Evil Ways" by Santana. My third track's keeping it in San Francisco. Steve Miller Band, Rockin' Me from the Fly to the Eagle album. Good, fun
Nice.
track, 3 minutes, 5 seconds. I originally had No More Mr. Nice Guy, but I decided to switch it out the last minute for I'm 18. And then we're going to start the British run here for a couple songs. We got Fox on the Run by Sweet. We got Gimme Shelter by the Stones. Pinball Wizard by The Who. Yesterday from the Beatles. And finishing all off with the granddaddies of them all, but not a song you'd expect. Led Zeppelin, Celebration Day from Led Zeppelin 3.
Nice.
Wow.
There you have it.
Okay. Well, I definitely personally like this list the least because of Doobie, Steve Miller, Santana. I'm not a big fan. Grand Funk. But yeah, it's good to see Raspberries get in here. That's kind of a rare thing that takes you down a different pathway. You definitely get marks for adding in Heart and Cheap Trick. That was 2 bands missing so far that are big ones. Bizarre. You both did I see? Yeah, Sydney had "Gimme Shelter" as well from the Stones.
Yeah.
How do you pick the same Stone song? It's crazy. Wow.
Best song ever.
And you almost had the same Alice song.
I know.
Pinball Wizard. So you got the Beatles, you got Zeppelin, and the Who in here. So you cover off all those marks as well. So yeah, let's give Pete a 6.5. How's that? There we go.
Wow.
So Sydney wins. You know, the
Yes,
Grand
all.
Funk came in there. That was it. She knew it. She knew it was happening. It was all over at that point. Who did we leave out? Any big bands we left out?
Not that I know of.
Well,
I mean, we covered a lot of them.
Eagles. Some
Yeah, I
just
was-
got in there.
There was no Journey. There was no
Yeah.
Tom Petty. We had one Foreigner song.
I was thinking of Tom Petty too. Like it was close, and I was like, I don't want to.
Actually, we did have one Eagles there, Martin.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you did have one Eagles song.
Yes.
No Eddie Money. We did have one Cars. We had one Blondie. You had the Ramones.
A lot of 60s. I'm wondering how many more years it's going to be until the 60s get cut out of classic rock, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. And, Craig, you mentioned Motley Crue. I mean, like Home Sweet Home is like a fixture on classic rock radio nowadays.
Yeah, I felt that was just a little too late in the time frame. Like I was pulling off Livewire. I was pulling Livewire off the first one because it was kind of more rock/punk. But yeah, I felt that you're right. It gets played a lot, but it just felt like it was almost too far past the classic rock.
Yeah, that stuff's
genre.
going to now get added to classic rock. Right?
Yeah.
I think we more or less stopped at around 81, 82 on this whole thing, right?
Yeah, I think I had Queen, which was 81, but I don't know if anybody had anything later than that.
I somehow forgot about Queen. Totally.
I think I had Rush Limelight, which was 81, 82, I guess.
Yeah, it's close. Yeah.
No Billy Joel. No Elton John.
No Bruce Springsteen. Wow.
I had Born to Run, and I took him out at the last minute.
There's a reason for that. Those aren't rock.
Well,
I'm sorry.
a lot of these picks weren't very rock, right? I mean, there were
True.
some picks that weren't very rock. And yeah, I think I if I was to do this, I don't think I would have had as much 60s in it. I don't think so.
Martin, what for you was the biggest surprise out of this all these tapes?
Boy, CCR, Santana, Doobies maybe, Jefferson Airplane. Well, I guess that's but again, moving out of considering it classic rock, there's some pretty heavy stuff in here. Sabbath being in classic rock, I'm a little debatable on that one there. It's almost too heavy to be in classic.
Because I was thinking about it, I was like, should I put Sabbath in this? But I felt like almost I associate Sabbath more with the hard rock and then what eventually became heavy metal that I don't really associate. I don't know, like it's
hard because they get played on the radio. That song is on the radio all the time.
I just think I think it's like when I think of classic rock, I think of like, I don't know, like the Fleetwood Macs and the Bostons and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of these bands have like one or two songs that are always played on classic rock radio, but everything else is deemed too heavy.
Right.
Actually, big band missing is Styx. There's no Styx.
I had Blue Collar Man on my original
Yes.
list. I just ran out of time.
Yes, wasn't on any of our lists either.
That's
Sydney's first choice was surprising, Vernon, for you because it's not too late, but it's pretty modern sounding, right?
Yeah.
Like really moving forward sort of thing. You could have put Godzilla in there or ETL, something like that.
And Craig mentioning Judas Priest, they're one of my ultimate favorites, but I didn't consider putting them in mine because they're more metal. And
I think
you don't hear them on radio very much either, right? Classic rock radio,
actually, so living in the tri-state area as I do, they started to get airplay right around the time of 81 when they released British Steel.
Yeah.
And we had
You Got Another Thing Coming was played all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was played to death. And when they released that in 82. So
well, and I think I went that route with both them and Sabbath. With that slower dirge type songs, that kind of what led into their metal sound. So I went with Paranoid because it was more of an upbeat, four on the floor rock song. Same way with Judas Priest. There's a lot of their stuff that does really have that metal sound, but I felt Breaking the Law was upbeat enough and had a nice, up level chorus. So it kind of took it out of that metal sound. And that's why I included those specific songs by those two bands.
That's cool. I mean, they did try to go for a more radio friendly sound.
Yep.
True.
Cool. And all the Stones was super old, right? All the Stones was really old stuff, right? There's Some Girls in here, nothing from that, or Tattoo You, or
Yep.
Yeah. So Martin, who's the winner?
Sydney won by half a point.
Oh,
Sydney gets her no prize. Yeah.
I just get the title of classic rock mixtape champion. So
there you go. So we had the winner of the metal, hard rock and metal mixtape was Chris Sallow. Sydney will win the classic rock one. Excuse me. And we will continue on with these, and maybe we'll have like a showdown. Like, let's say we decide to do 5 of these shows. We'll have like a showdown. All the winners will compete against each other just to make the coolest mixtape across all genres, right? No real genre. So,
that's fun.
And just to think, we probably have to do an extreme metal mixtape. Ooh.
Steve Keeler for that one.
Steve Keeler, Ryan Scow, and Nick Franco, right? And I guess myself, right? Because I guess maybe I'll judge that one. I don't know. Whatever.
And no one thought to like peel off the 60-minute label and stick a 90 on and use a 90. Nobody thought.
Rich Catino did that last week. He did.
Let me tell you, he got ridiculed to death by Chris Allo in that. In what was our show? 40 minutes.
Something
it was
like
40 minutes non-stop. You cheater and.
Yeah, I can see.
And Chris Allo speak
the Catino rule, right? He called it the Catino rule. Everybody followed the rules except for Rich.
Yeah.
Right?
Or do a medley, and you take your 2 recording left and right and fade it out after 2 minutes and then start your next song. Like they did that on the K-Tel album sometimes, right? I mean, they shorten the songs once in a while.
Yes, totally did.
Really.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for participating in this. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for Martin for judging this whole party we had going on here. Thanks to Sydney for winning, and for Craig, Jack, and myself. Oh, well, better luck next time, right?
It's fun. It's a good time though.
So I want to do some promo for other stuff going on. So Sydney, what's you got some cool stuff to talk about on Metal from the Inside podcast, right? So why don't you tell everybody about that?
I just got to talk to, if you have seen me on this channel, I talk about Alice Cooper constantly. I talked about him today. I had him as a guest on my podcast this week, which was a dream come true. And I thank Martin Popoff very much for his help and just being amazing. And kind of instrumental in helping make that happen. But got to interview Alice, and it was a dream come true. So it's on my YouTube channel, which is Metal from the Inside. You can go ahead and type that into YouTube, and you can actually watch Alice and I's conversation and everything like that. So that was really cool. Last week I had David Ellefson and Jess Scott Soto on, discussing the new project, Ellefson Soto, and their cover of Swords and Tequila by Riot. And there's a lot of cool stuff coming, but the Alice Cooper thing, man, that was a monumental moment. So go watch the interview.
Very cool. Craig, what's going on over at Music Musing?
I don't know. It sounds like I need to talk with Martin a little bit and get him back to get me some guests. We just kind of revamped the entire Music Musing podcast and restarted it. It used to be with my brother and I talking about rock and classic rock and metal and stuff. He's kind of moved away from it. So we're kind of rebooted it with basically doing interviews now. And not interviews on people and their music, but music that influenced them. So I'm looking for musicians or people in the music field that that want to talk about how they got to where they were, not their music in particular, but what got them there, what made them feel a certain way, what made them pick up the guitar, what made them start singing, what made them play drums. So I've kind of switched the format over, and we started it with a series I'm doing with a friend of mine right now, where we're taking an 80s pop song genre song and looking at all the rock and metal covers that people have made of that. And we started with what was the one we started with? The Look by Roxette. And man, there's some really weird interpretations by some metal bands out there. But the podcast is Music Musing, no S at the end. You can find us on any podcast formats. We're on Twitter at musicmusing_, or you can go to musicmusing.libsyn.com for the website. And we do actually have a YouTube channel, but it is just audio right now. Could be video in the future.
Awesome. Martin, new books coming out. What's happening on your end?
Nothing much new coming out right now. Stuff's been out. Oh, I got a nice email this morning from the boss at ECW Press saying that Driven, the third in the Rush trilogy, is number 9 on the nonfiction bestseller list in the Toronto Star for in Canada.
Nice.
That was cool. But I've got martinpopoff.com for the books. I've got History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff podcast, and I'm up to 97 episodes of that. We've got a YouTube show with my buddy Marco called The Contrarians. That's about it.
And of course, Martin's here every Friday morning with yours truly for Friday at the Funhouse. So stay tuned every Friday for that. Tomorrow, Mr. Toledano is joining me here on Sea of Tranquility for a top 10 song show of Metal Church. We've got
what a nice thing to talk about on Mother's Day, huh?
I know, right? Yeah, but we're gonna talk about it before the mothers actually wake up, right? So
right.
Metal Church.
And then so Sydney will be joining me and the rest of the Hollywood Squares, the Hudson Valley Squares on Monday. So stay tuned for that. Speaking of interviews, we got a couple really good ones lined up on Sea of Tranquility over the next few weeks. Speaking of guitar players, Jeff Coleman, who has played with Glenn Hughes and all sorts of other acts. He's got a brand new solo album coming out. In fact, this is it right here. He's coming on the show in 2 weeks to chat with us. We've got Scott Henderson, jazz fusion guitarist extraordinaire, who's played with Chick Corea, and Joe Zawinul. He's with Tribal Tech. He's played with all sorts of other cats. He's coming on the show as well next week. And we've got In the Prague Seat on Tuesday. We've got What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility, the review show coming up on Wednesday. Thursday is the Monsters Den. Friday morning, Martin and myself, and then all sorts of stuff happening in between all of that. So stay tuned and visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. I want to thank everybody here, Sydney, Craig, Jack, and Martin. I am Pete Pardo. Hopefully you'll see another episode of Ultimate Mixtape Challenge coming up in the next few weeks. I think we're going to do prog rock next. We're going to do an extreme metal one and whatever else we can fit in there. So stay tuned for all that and more. Have a good one, everybody. And happy Mother's Day tomorrow to all the mothers. I'm sure we'll say that again tomorrow, but I want to make sure I don't forget. So take care, everybody. Bye-bye.